Time you're joining us, welcome to KNA Political Table, where we discuss matters politics and matters governance, who did what, where, when, why, how, and of course, as usual, when we talk about matters governance, matters politics, we never fail to ask the question, how much money was used, how much money is to be used, how much more or less is the taxpayer going to incur? Now, a lot has been happening. Of course, we know about the presidential visit to Kisumu or to the Nyanza region, his 4-day visit. We also know about what is happening at the Bomas of Kenya. Of course, we're going to see the finalization of the discussions that is on Friday before they file a report that is to Parliament, of course, in regards to the 5 agendas or the 5 issues that were being discussed. We also know that the Met Department predicted an El Nino, and the governors out here as well are requesting funds to prepare for what is happening. Now, that is currently what is happening in the country. Among very many serious issues, of course, the issues of ethical clashes as well as the shareholder issue, which we're going to be discussing later on. But before that, of course, the president has been making rounds in Kenya to launch different projects. And in Kisumu, he actually launched the Uhuru 2, that is the vessel or the ship that was to complement or as well take over, that is Uhuru 1, which was built in 1966, that is in Kisumu County. And during the launch of the newly built, that is Uhuru 2, that is vessel, the president, that is William Ruto, of course, praised
the ship Shupavu, the first naval ship to undergo a midlife refit in Kenya, which proved the capacity of Kenya shipyards to undertake complex engineering tasks requiring specialized scientific and technological expertise. Today, we are commissioning a wholly newly built merchant marine vessel, once again demonstrating the ability of the Kenya shipyards to build, repair, and maintain ships for local, regional, and possibly international operators. The work of building MV Uhuru 2 and upgrading the Kisumu shipyard has been undertaken by Kenyan professionals in a project which provided many young people with practical shipbuilding skills through apprenticeship and on-the-job training, and was completed within 24 months, and well within its budget. I must congratulate my predecessor, President Uhuru Kenyatta, for his foresight in coming up with this shipyard refurbishment. When one morning he asked me for us to visit Kisumu and see what the military could do, when we came here, it was a heap of dirt, wreckage, and old buildings. To see what we are seeing here today is phenomenal. And I must say, both President Uhuru Kenyatta and the leadership of our military, with a lot of foresight, drove this program to where we are today. When I took over office, it is among the first decisions I had to make when the leadership of the military asked me directly whether this project should continue and whether it was a priority of the new administration. And I confirmed to them that it should just not continue, that it should be accelerated. For these remarkable feats, I commend the entire Kenya Shipyards team for once again exhibiting admirable professionalism and the highest standard of skillful work. I am proud to note that the Kenya Shipyards is quickly emerging as a leader in high-quality shipbuilding for our local and regional needs. Consequently, the Kenya shipyards have been contracted to repair and maintain ships for government ministries, departments, and agencies, including the Kenya Coast Guard Services, the Kenya Ports Authority, the Kenya Maritime Authority, the Kenya Marine Fisheries Research Institute, and private operators in the Indian Ocean coast, as well as this Lake Victoria. There is no doubt, therefore, that the Kenya shipyard is emerging as a center of shipbuilding and maritime excellence and is poised to become Kenya's strategic anchor in the development of our blue economy and all the resources associated with it. This event is therefore important as a critical component of the national agenda to catalyze the growth of the blue economy by channeling technology as well as local and foreign direct investment into a diverse industrial ecosystem with distinct clusters assembled around shipbuilding.
Ruto, while launching this project in Kisumu County, and of course we have to commend the good work that he's doing in terms of launching projects now in our country Kenya. Now watu wengi huku nje Imano wameshangaa ama wameshtuka hearing Ruto mention Uhuru's name, and they're like, are you mentioning his name because number one, the project that you are launching is actually linked to his name? Because if his name was probably not there on the ship, then you would have taken this project as yours. And we've seen people also having an issue stating that some of the projects that the president has actually been doing is what his predecessor was actually doing, but he is not launching any new projects, for example, in Kenya. Would you commend the kind of work that he's doing right now? And also, what's your take on the kind of opinion that people have in regards to easy projects zenye the president anaendeleza sasa?
Now, to begin with, you should understand that there's power in the name. Anyone. Okay, let me ask. Who is Kenyatta?
The first president of Kenya, the father of Kenya.
So that's what I was saying, that there's a power in the name. So depending on which name that someone has, the name can be generational. There are names that come and disappear. There are names that don't see the fourth even the generation. Depending if you are a good person and if you are a bad person. And that's why if we go back to the Bible, it's very rare to find someone by the name Judas.
Okay, I understand.
And not even rare. I've never had a name by the name Judas because he betrayed Jesus.
No.
So many people, if now they come up and name their children after maybe Judas, they'll be finding it difficult in the character of their children because they will only inherit what Judas did. So when we talk about Uhuru, actually it's not an English name. It's a Swahili name derived by independence. So it's the name independence that was translated to Uhuru.
No.
Now when Kenya got independence, when was Uhuru Kenyatta born?
Allah.
So
Okay.
we should be getting back to understand why is it his name Uhuru?
Uhuru, yeah.
Because he's born at State House by his father who has fought for independence. So when at his birth is being named Uhuru. So a name that we've known up to today. But in other aspects, you find that the name Uhuru means different things.
No.
So first, it means independence for our country, Kenya. And second, it means the
Freedom.
president of our republic of Kenya.
Yeah.
So when we say that the President William Ruto at the moment is doing a project, that project began in 1960s, having the name Uhuru.
Uhuru, yes.
It does not mean it's Uhuru Kenyatta at the moment. But these are projects that are on just because independence, by getting independence as a country, we're able again to move forward with independence. And two, talking about the president not launching new projects and maybe continuing with what Uhuru Kenyatta did. First, we should understand there's no difference between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. If you open your political eye, you must know that the one thing at a time, they promised us that my 10 years and William Ruto's 10 years. So until even elections, we never saw serious personal differences between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto.
No.
So if, as a political analyst, I've come to find that when you open more wide your political eye into understanding what are political developments in our country, then you are able to understand there are no big differences between the leadership of Uhuru Kenyatta and that of William Ruto. And maybe to give Ruto the credit, there's no need for you to launch a new project, whereas the other project has not been completed. First, that could be wasting taxpayers' money, a country's money that we don't have. Now, for instance, when Uhuru Kenyatta started programs of SGR, what, as the president, you need to do is to extend the SGR to other parts of the country where there has not been experienced. It would be so bad for you to come and maybe launch another program which is contrary to what we already have. So that one gives the president the credit. And two, he has been talking about tuko na mpango. He said tulikuwa na mpango na Uhuru Kenyatta. Huo mpango ukaja ukasambaratishwa na Raila Amolo Odinga. Mimi kazi yangu ni kuhakikisha kwamba ule mpango ambao tulikuwa tumeanzisha ninauendeleza hadi tumalize. So these are things that we should get to understand. And moving forward, we need to understand that as a country, we have long-term programs, long-term projects. Like we have the Vision 2030 of our country, started by Mwai Kibaki. So meaning that Kibaki had not to be the president up to today for us as a country to come and experience Vision 2030. So the Vision 2030 had to entail rural electrification, good and modern transportation system, and even uplifting the standards of our Kenyans. We have long-term projects of United Nations, including zero poverty in Africa, in the world, security of the world, food security for the world. So those are long-term projects. And again, we have got medium projects. We have projects as a country that go for a short period, between 7 to 20 years. Those are medium projects. And we have short-term projects, so that they are able to meet the emergencies. Like when you have an emergency like we had COVID-19, that's something that we never foresaw it. But it has come. So you shall move with speed so as to manage this project that is like a surprise. You never expected it. So the project that the president is not willing to launch new projects, it's one way first to finish the project they had. The first one, big about food agenda. We're seeing the food agenda project, the president coming up with subsidies on fertilizer programs. So farmers are able to get fertilizer at the moment at around as 2,500 to 3,000 shillings. So that's one way to help in food production. And two, talk about manufacturing. We've seen the trade and investment projects being created all over the country. So that's one way of moving to the second agenda. We had the manufacturing, I've talked about it, about housing. We've seen the housing program. The president all over the country, we've seen him in the streets saying that we will not be having any slums as a country. So that's the project that they will continue. Talking about the universal coverage, health coverage, talking about NHIF, bringing different ways to compact diseases. So this is telling us that there's no difference between the leadership of Uhuru Kenyatta, the fourth president, and the fifth president. And with time, and I will be here, you come to testify, that the enemy here was Raila Amolo Odinga. The enemy was not William Ruto. The enemy is not Uhuru Kenyatta. The enemy here was about Raila Amolo Odinga. How do you completely bring an end to Raila Amolo Odinga? Something that they drafted well. They brought a script that's being acted upon. Until then, you come to see them again together. The beloved was saying that, Sinilwambia, yangu 10, na yo Mbona 10. Those are possible.
But you know, Papa, I've been saying there has been a secret handshake huku chini, lakini hatujui.
And that's the goodness of politics. if you really understand politics, you're able to foresee and tell what you expect at the moment. Because I've maybe before we go there, you've seen the president in Nyanza. And I've been telling you that very soon, not even soon, the deal is done. The deal between Raila Amolo Odinga and William Ruto is done. Okay.
Is the deal done? You know, we are asking, we keep on asking as Kenyans because we are receiving different signals every single time. Now, when you talk about deals, of course, we know during the general elections, that is 2022, you went and voted, maybe I went and voted, and you vote for your leader of choice. But at the end of the day, you know, Kenya is one, you know. Now, we've seen of late the deputy president, that is Rigathi Gachagua, gave a statement about being a shareholder in Kenya, and that being a majority shareholder means that projects are going to be delivered in your area zone faster than those who are the minority shareholders. And we've seen different leaders come up and bash as well as criticize the deputy president because of these remarks. Because number one, they actually do incite ethnical or tribal disparities out here. Now, we've also seen the president, that is William Ruto, go to different zones, which we could term as not strongholds or not his strongholds, that is the western region as well as the Nyanza region. And all this, people are saying that he's actually preparing for the 2027 general elections. Now, when we come back to the issues of shareholders, of course, we saw recently, that is Kimani Ngunjiri, also criticize or critique, that is the deputy president, on his sentiments as well as his comments on being a shareholder in Kenya, as well as the equal and the equal distribution of resources as well as projects to Kenya as a whole, because of Kenya is one at the end of the day, you know. And recently we also had a discussion where I asked, or I posed a question to you on Ask Siasa about Raila Amolo's statement on the deputy president being actually just the deputy president, or behaving as if he's the deputy president of the Mount Kenya region. Now, a lot of issues come up before we see what Kimani Ngunjiri said. A lot of issues come up on this, and the first question that we're asking is the deputy president, his statements, is he trying to, or can they incite, number one, violence in Kenya? Number two, are they a way of showing that or stating that the Kenya Kwanza government is only going to serve those who voted for the government and not the rest? Number three, is the deputy president trying to prepare ground in Mount Kenya, as he says, for William Ruto, that is come 2027? Because of course tunaona Musalia Mudavadi alipopandishwa cheo, definitely ameka a question mark there. And number five, are we probably seeing Gachagua run again with Ruto come 2027?
You know, you've asked many questions until I don't know which one to start. But I will summarize them to this explanation. First, 2027 is very far.
No.
So for any political developments, now, 2023, until 2027, it's very far. Because your preferred maybe running with 2023 cannot be the preferred 2027 running.
Right, no.
The sweetheart of the Kenyans, as at 2023, cannot be the darling of Kenyans come 2027. Because political developments change hand in hand with the socio-economic developments of the country. So the president, William Ruto, maybe, who seems to be in a campaign mode, you know, is a very, very in a campaign mode, cannot be the same in 2027. Because first, if you don't deliver now, with other developments that is maybe doing, like sidelining Rigathi Gachagua, sidelining the people of Mount Kenya, sidelining people from other parts, hard economic times, the price of fuel, high taxations, high living standards of Kenyans, and then expect come 2027, how do you convince these people? Because it would be very, very easy to get someone different coming and promising Kenyans how he or she is going to bring down the living standards of Kenyans. And that one will knock out the president. And we'll see him running only for the first time. We've seen it like Nigeria. A president going for only one term. Something is not common in Africa. You know, in Africa, there are two things that can make you out of power. First, if you die in power. And two, when maybe you are old. And three, if people decide to remove you. But going for an election for the second time and being knocked out is not easy.
Yeah.
And now, let's talk about maybe the president trying to neglect Mount Kenya as a whole. And there's nothing which is very, 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 very dangerous to any politician to try to work without Mount Kenya as a whole. You know, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga did this and tested, and he saw fire. Moi did it, and it saw fire. So you cannot be able to govern our country without bringing the people from Mount Kenya in one of your equations. And that's what we saw in 2022. Raila tried hard to include the people from Central by bringing them a running mate. Raila, William Ruto also did it by giving them a running mate. So if you don't bring Mount Kenya as a whole into our equation, then we're going to see fire. Now I'm trying to see this. Maybe Raila Odinga by 2027, willingly or unwillingly, might not be present for active politics. And he might decide to support one of the people. Now let's say he's supporting maybe Kalonzo Musyoka, who comes from Ukambani region. Now who will be the running mate for Kalonzo Musyoka? It will be very difficult to tell. Others will be wanting Kalonzo to pick up a running mate from Nyanza region. Maybe others will be suggesting for him to bring a running mate from Central. And something that you've seen in Kenyan politics, Nyanza as a whole, it's very difficult to avoid having a presidential aspirant. Because we've seen from Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Raila Odinga is coming. Raila Odinga is coming, Simeon Nyachai is coming. Simeon Nyachai, after coming, Raila Odinga is coming back up to today. So telling us that in 2027, we lack someone from Nyanza, it will not be a normal politics in our country. It's like telling us that we don't have a presidential aspirant coming from Rift Valley and coming from Central.
No.
Those are impossibilities in Kenyan politics. So bringing this point, I'm trying to figure it out. The president, William Ruto, who is seemingly trying to work away to get the support of Nyanza people and the people of Western. And maybe not wanting the people from Central Kenya. Maybe we are breaking Mlima Kenya. And this one would be very dangerous for President Ruto. Mlima Kenya always have one say. They'll unite. And the moment they realize you want to sideline them, you go for an election, they start with 6 million votes on a ballot. With their most preferred candidate. The voting a blow, 6M votes. Where will you get their votes to tell us that they did not win? So the president needs to play his cards well. So that he might be able to retain people from Central, as he did, and at the same time, maybe trying to play safe by bringing people from Nyanza and Western. What I know, come 2027, people from Nyanza are willingly, they might find it easy to work with President Ruto other than anybody from Central. Because they've tried to find it, work it out, day in, year in, it's not working. And now they will say, we are nilots. We are nilots. Ruto worked with us in 2007. Let's now work with him in 2027. And then maybe they'll give him maybe 70%. Western, maybe Mudavadi and others, maybe they've seen the benefits of coming in government. Now, what will happen? Then the people from Central will bring one. They're not even divided. They bring one. asked right and give him a whole voting block. Nobody will break Mount Kenya. And then they will go other parts of the country and looking for others to fill up. And then William Ruto will be knocked out. It's as easy as that. So what he's trying to do in a moment, the people from Mount Kenya are very, very slippery to handle without gloves. So he must make sure that the gloves is handled, political gloves, to handle the likes of Rigathi Gachagua. You know, many Kenyans think that Rigathi Gachagua is a passing cloud. Many think that he cannot maybe bring any development. He can bring a revolution and knock out the president very easily. Dress code, at times where even he has done